Good evening, everyone. The world's first UN Secretary General is quoted as having described the job as the most impossible on earth. By the time Ban Ki-moon was asked to become the 8th UN Secretary General, it was even more impossible. Divisiveness was rising. Member states were moving away from choosing what was best for our collective humanity and were making decisions based on their self-interest instead. Nuclear tensions, war, economic disaster, and the spread of HIV/AIDS were all threatening. And to meet the challenges, the UN needed sweeping reforms. It is enough to wonder, Ban Ki-moon, why you didn't turn down the job. You would have been forgiven had you just said, "I changed my mind," or "I'd rather jump into a lake full of piranhas." But you had seen far too much in war-torn Korea as a child. You wanted to save people from suffering. As you say, the UN saved your family, your country, and gave people hope. You were often deeply disappointed by the UN's powerful Security Council, especially it was even vetoing purely humanitarian causes. And yet, you persevered, quietly, purposefully, living up to your father's lessons on how to live an ethical life. And thus, you saved lives. You raised billions of dollars in aid for people who were suffering under dire conditions. You brought hope to people in war zones. And you spoke truth to power, especially about climate change, which you recognized early as an existential threat. You were sounding the alarm before most world leaders, and especially one US president, were ready to hear it. You called it an emergency, and you helped awaken the world. You gathered nations together to find solutions. You pushed and you prodded and you negotiated until the 11th hour, until finally on December 12th, 2015, for the first time, the world's nations signed the legally binding international Paris Climate Agreement to cut greenhouse gas emissions. And today, nations are struggling to keep the promises they made then, yet the agreement is still in effect, still pressing for net zero targets. It stands as a landmark and proves that the world can come together if we, like you, don't give up, no matter how impossible things may seem. It seems a theme, this idea of not giving up, of your life, as we can glimpse from this clip of a new documentary called The Quiet Diplomat.